Have you been experiencing internal financial struggles triggered by economic concerns? Are you feeling capped at your current income level and can't seem to realize your financial potential? Energy healer Jean Border has created an emotional freedom technique, or EFT, tapping protocol to help calm the inner voice that keeps you stressed. Claim your free copy at jeanborder.com/vow and say goodbye to those financial blockages. Welcome to another episode of the Focused Practical Dreamer's Journey podcast, Energy Work to Better Your Business, hosted by energy healer Jean Border. It's not just about dreaming, it's about making those dreams a practical reality. Subscribe to us via your favorite network by visiting our website at www.focusedpracticaldreamer.com. Now, get ready. Your journey to success starts here.
Hello, everyone. It's your host again, Jean Border, with the Focused Practical Dreamer's Journey podcast. And I have a really cool special guest with me here today. But before I get there, I want to remind everyone to look down below in the show notes. I have a free resource for you if you're feeling tension in your body concerning your financial situation right now. There are some tapping protocols that all you have to do is click on the link. It'll take you right there. Just tap through a few rounds before you make any financial decisions that might be concerning to you. So you make them from a place of calm instead of a place of tension and fear. Okay? jeanborder.com/vow, links below. And now, on to my very special guest. This is Lori Saitz. And I'm going to let Lori introduce herself, but she's in the leadership world and also in some of the techniques that I use, she uses. So, hi, Lori, how are you?
Hi, Jean. I am doing really well. And
Cool.
thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm excited.
Oh, cool. So tell the listeners a little bit about you, what you do, where you came from, how you got to where you are in your business.
Yeah, I am the CEO and founder of a company called Zen Rabbit. And Zen Rabbit is, I describe it as a forward-thinking health and wellness company. I am on a mission to teach the world to be calm and grounded no matter what is going on around them. Because can you imagine what our world would look like if everybody could make decisions and live their lives from a place of groundedness and could make decisions from a place of responding instead of reacting from that reptilian part of the brain, right? And so I love working with corporations and entrepreneurs to help them find their way to a healthier, more productive work environment so that they can be more focused, more creative and innovative, that they can be more productive, and all of those things come together to help make them more profitable.
And so now you probably figured out why I said we come from the same place in a lot of things. The bit with making decisions from a calm place where you are not reacting, you're actually taking conscious action. Also, my background is in leadership. So, I mean, we just fit.
Yes. Yeah. Lots of synergy.
Yeah. So thanks for being here. Talk to us about how you got from where you started out to where you are now in business and why you're on this path.
Yeah. So I'll start with where I started in my entrepreneurial journey. And that happened more than 20 years ago. In 2003, I started my first company, and it was called Zen Rabbit Baking Company.
Cool.
I was making a product called the Gratitude Cookie. And it was based on a family recipe, kind of a cross between a butter and a sugar cookie. And because I have a background in marketing from before that, I was creating a product for businesses to say thank you to their clients and to referral sources and to people who support their success, instead of just making myself another Mrs. Fields.
That's
And so,
nice. I
yeah,
like that.
it was fantastic. And as I was doing that, I talked a lot about gratitude in business, how to use gratitude as a differentiating factor, how gratitude affects everybody around you, and talking about gratitude in business. And I may have been a little bit before my time, or before the time that the world was ready for it, because there was science and research behind it, but I ran that business for 11 years and I couldn't quite scale it the way I would have liked to. So I ended up shutting it down. And then I moved on to teaching networking strategies because I was good at that and I had to do that in that first business. And then pandemic came along and nobody was going to any networking events in person. So I had to pivot again and came back to talking about gratitude and incorporated some meditation techniques in there and started creating customized gratitude meditations for clients. And again, talking more about gratitude in business and incorporating these concepts of gratitude, meditation, acceptance into the business world. And that's where we are today.
How did that go over when you first started doing that?
It's about, when you're talking to business people, it's about what is the business problem this is solving. And when you look at all the science and research behind it, because a lot of people will say, oh, gratitude, meditation, that's nice. That's so, I don't know that spirituality, or like they tie it into spirituality, and I don't know that that belongs in the business world. Or maybe they're using a term like it's a little, we used to say earthy crunchy. And
I've not heard that before.
Oh, no?
Crunchy. No.
Earthy crunchy, yes.
No, I've never heard that. I'm going to have to make a note of that one. Earthy crunchy.
It's fun.
Is that like granola?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So, yeah, but there's so much science and research now behind how these concepts affect businesses on the levels that affects the businesses in the way that they want to talk about it. Like how it affects productivity, how it affects engagement, retention, profitability, creativity, innovation, all of these data points that are important to business. And so now when I talk about this, I talk about it in that context of not just, it's nice, it helps you feel more calm, which in and of itself, like, come on, who doesn't want that?
Big deal.
It's a big deal to feel resilient, to feel less stress. Look at look at everybody running around in the world right now. If you talk to most people, they are feeling a tremendous amount of stress. And so if these concepts could help you feel less stressed, to feel more calm, to feel more grounded, that alone seems to me to be a reason enough to check them out. However, if it's not, and often it's not, let's talk about how it makes you more resilient, how it makes you more focused, more, like I said, more creative, more innovative, more productive, and all of those things, better at relationships with clients, with colleagues, with people at home. I talk a lot about how these concepts can help people. The reason that makes you more productive is because we're helping eliminate the distractions in your head. A lot of people talk about productivity as being a time management thing. And there is certainly an element of that. And at the same time, you can have your calendar all color blocked out and still not be productive because you are thinking about the argument you had with your partner last night, or the conversation you need to have with your dad about taking away his car keys, or, a million other things that are running through your head that you can't clear out. So you can't focus on putting together that proposal or, coming up with a marketing idea. Like, this is what's really affecting people's productivity, is they can't clear the distractions in their head.
And so how do you begin that process?
Well, that's where these concepts of gratitude and meditation come in. And if we can talk about meditation to start with. So what is meditation, right? A lot of people there's a lot of myths and misconceptions around what it is. And people mistakenly say, well, I'm not good at meditation, because they think there's only one way to do it. And that way is sitting on a mat, cross-legged for hours at a time in complete silence with no thoughts going through their head. That's possibly a form of meditation, but most people can't do that.
Yeah.
So my definition of meditation is really finding a way to get quiet enough to hear your own inner voice. What is that inner voice telling you? It's that truth that only you know for you. Because we live in a world that wants to tell you how to be and who to be. And it's coming at you from social media, traditional media, parents, friends, colleagues. Everybody wants to tell you how to run your life, right? But only you know. That quiet voice inside of you knows what is right for you. And so it starts with getting quiet enough to hear that inner voice. And how you do that, there's a million different ways to do that. How you do that, again, it comes down to what works for you.
And I think, my opinion, the world we live in is very fast-paced, and you don't even take time, you don't even recognize that voice when it's there, unless you've got thoughts that are judging you.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Then you know what you did wrong.
Yeah.
Knowing what feels good for you, or what makes you happy, or what makes you fulfilled. There are all these, well, I should be doing this and I should be doing that, and I'm not doing this and I haven't done that. And it's sometimes hard to just settle down and pay attention to how to be.
Right. Right. And that voice that you're hearing that's judging you and telling you what you should do or shouldn't do, that is not your voice of truth. That's your ego. That's your ego voice. That is the voice of somebody else. If you actually sat and figured out who that voice was, it's not you. It's coming from outside. And so, again, this is why it's so important to be able to sit for even 5 minutes. Can you give yourself the grace of 5 minutes without your phone or without outside distractions? You could have, I say without your phone, but then I also advise clients all the time to tap into and use the app. It's called Insight Timer. And so you need your phone for Insight Timer. It's a meditation app. It's free. But if you wanted to do a guided meditation or just listen to meditation music or whatever, but I mean, not listening to podcasts, not having the constant ding of, oh, a text is coming in. Oh, an email is coming in. Oh, there's a message on Facebook. Somebody posted on LinkedIn. Turning all of that off and just being with yourself.
And just the thought of that can raise stress levels.
Yes.
Because we are so attached to our devices. But something might happen. Really?
Right.
Really? How often does something that's really an emergency happen? Mm-hmm. Urgent? Yeah, something to handle within the next few days. Yes. But is that urgent enough that you can't put your phone down for 5 minutes?
Yeah.
But that voice inside your head says, oh, but I might miss something. I might miss something.
Yeah.
Well, have you missed it yet?
Right. Right.
But I might.
You might. It's not likely. And again, when you can tap into this inner voice, this quietness, and just breathe, just breathe. So again, coming back to what can I do to calm myself, to ground myself in this moment? Just breathe. I presume your listeners, anybody who's listening to this, is breathing. However, not necessarily in the most beneficial way, because we tend to breathe very shallowly. It's keeping us alive, but it's also keeping us stressed, because that shallow breath is telling your body to continue being on high alert, and it raises cortisol levels. And when you stop and take 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, and just breathe in really deeply, all the way down to your abdomen, and let it go, and focus on breathing like that for just a few minutes. Now you're calming your entire nervous system. You're releasing dopamine and serotonin, which are the feel-good chemicals in your brain. You are lowering the cortisol, which is the stress hormone that causes so many issues, physical issues in your body. and you're oxygenating your body and your brain. It just slows everything down. And so anytime that you are feeling like, things are getting out of hand, I'm feeling stressed, I don't know how to react or respond to this situation, just breathe. Nobody even has to notice what you're doing. This is a free technique. It's super easy. And that's a lot of times the reason why people just don't use it. They're like, wow, it can't be that easy. Where are the 17 steps? The 17 steps that I'm going to skip over 3 of them and then tell you it doesn't work. No, there's one step. Breathe.
That's funny. There are so many types of breathing, do you have one that you prefer over the others or no?
Just that focusing on your taking deep breaths into your abdomen. And you want to hold it for a moment at the top and then release it or not hold it. Yes, there are a million different techniques for breathing, and they all have different reasons for being. And I think, again, let's not overcomplicate this. It's so simple to just focus on taking some deep breaths.
Cool. Here's a question. How did you come up with the name of your company?
Oh, well, I really think it was delivered to me from divine guidance. However, when I started the cookie company, when I would share these cookies with people, they would say, oh my gosh, this reminds me of something my grandma used to make. And it would bring them back to their Zen blissful place of baking in the kitchen with grandma. And so that's how it became Zen. And then there's folklore about rabbits bringing prosperity to business.
What?
And secondarily, or maybe primarily, when I was a baby, my mom bought me a stuffed rabbit and put it in the crib with all the other stuffed animals. And this story is on my website under the About Me section. And she quickly figured out that she could take out all the other animals, but the rabbit had to be in the crib or I wasn't sleeping. And as I got older, I would rub her ears for comfort, the way kids rub blankets or, animals, whatever it is. And I would rub her ears for comfort. And she was my Zen Rabbit. I didn't call her that at the time, but she was my Zen Rabbit. And there's a picture on the website as well. I'm about 2.5 years old. I'm at my grandparents' in the living room and I'm holding that rabbit. And you can see I'm in a Zen blissful place with the rabbit in my clutches. And
that's so sweet.
And from a marketing standpoint, nobody ever forgets the name Zen Rabbit. That's why that first company was called Zen Rabbit Baking Company, but I couldn't change the name when I moved on from it. And now, I had Zen Rabbit 2.0. Now I'm probably at Zen Rabbit 3.0. But because it's so memorable, people just associate me with that name. And that's why it has carried through. And it's still appropriate today.
Yeah, that's sweet.
Thank you.
That's one of the things that a lot of entrepreneurs get stuck in. I need the perfect name. I need the perfect logo. I need the perfect this. I need the perfect brand. I need the perfect colors. No, you don't. You just need to start.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Just start. My company actually was not incorporated as Zen Rabbit because I didn't have the name yet before I started. I just incorporated under my own name and then DBA.
And that's perfectly fine.
Yes. Yes.
All you have to do is start.
Right.
And as long as you're doing things in a legal manner, there are a million ways to get there. You don't have to follow exactly what somebody else does, right?
Right. Right. And one of the things I've heard is, and it's such a great analogy, is that anytime you're starting, like you said, just start. You have to start moving in some direction in order for your GPS to adjust itself and point you in the right direction. Have you ever been sitting in a parking lot and you set the GPS and it's like, what does it say? Something like, proceed to the route.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, what does that mean? Where am I going? But it doesn't adjust itself until you start driving in a certain direction. And then it tells you either, turn left, turn right, rerouting, whatever it is. But you have to start moving in order for it to adjust itself.
And then you make adjustments as you go.
Right.
But if you don't start, you don't know you're on the wrong path.
Right. You don't know you're on the right path or the wrong path. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. But I really like that name. That's really cute. And I like that it's you. That was your little
Yeah.
stuffed animal.
Yep.
Okay, so I probably shouldn't go here, but I'm going to do it anyway. So sometimes people might ask, how are you today? And if I answered fine, what would your reaction be?
Fine is a 4-letter word.
Sorry,
How are you
had to do it.
really? How are you really, Jean? Because anytime somebody is saying fine, typically they are not fine. They are, and because if you were doing better than fine, you'd be like, I'm doing great, or I'm doing really well, or I'm super excited about whatever. If you say fine, something's going on.
I had one guest, he was a hoot. But as soon as you asked him how he was, he has a spiel, and it's, and it's real adjectives. It's not just, oh, I'm fine.
Mm-hmm.
But fine is a very easy answer so that you don't have to become personal.
Correct.
You don't have to give away your innermost feelings.
Yeah. Yeah. We've been conditioned to say everything is fine, even when it's not. Because, one, we don't want to burden the other person with our emotions or what's happening. And or two, we don't want to admit to ourselves that everything is not fine.
Or that we're not perfect.
Yes. Yes. And when you allow yourself to be truthful and say, I'm not having the best day, or things have been better, you are giving a gift to the other person to, one, show them your authentic self, to show your vulnerability. There have been studies done around vulnerability, and that most people respect and and admire people who can show their vulnerability. They have a higher level of respect and admiration, and they think they're better people if they show vulnerability. However, on the flip side, people feel very insecure about doing it themselves because they think it shows weakness. So isn't that odd that they look at other people who show vulnerability in a favorable way, but when it comes to doing it yourself, it's like, well, no, but I can't do it.
It would seem that as you were talking, what came into my head was it would be easier to make a connection to someone who admits to not being all things to all people and being perfect, right?
Yes. Yes.
So in your term, that was vulnerability. To me, it was imperfect, right? And I don't know why I'm stuck on that word, because I'm not stuck on that a lot, but it's coming up. So
there is no such thing as perfection. We like it as a concept, but in reality, it's really not a thing.
Well, but anytime we mess up, that means that we missed the target of, and I'm going to use the word perfection, right? The goal, the optimal state of being for me, but I didn't reach it. So I'm less than whatever our ideal thought is. I don't even know how to explain it. It's very interesting.
I challenge
denigrating
people.
ourselves.
Yeah, I challenge people to redefine their definition of success and failure.
Anytime we don't meet a goal that we set, whether it was an attainable goal or a crazy goal, I think in a lot of ways we think less of ourselves. Even if it was never attainable to begin with, and we knew that, I should be able to do it anyway. There should be a way that I can get there. I'm not trying hard enough. I didn't learn enough. I didn't spend enough hours. I didn't spend enough time. I haven't found the right guru, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
There's always a way to knock ourselves down.
Why do you do that?
Good question. Good question. Because that way I I throw it in there. I still have something else that I can experience. For me, the world is about experiences.
Same.
Right?
Yes.
It's not about having things. Yes, it's about being able to afford to have what I want, what I need, what I want to experience. But for me, I'm here for the experience.
Yeah.
I travel anywhere I can travel. Any trip I can go on. I mean, I have to prioritize, but I'm all about the experience. But if I don't reach a goal, then I haven't completed the experience.
Well, this is where I agree with you. Life is an experience. Life to me is an experiment and an adventure. And if the experiment doesn't go the way that you were expecting it to, that's how experiments happen. Like, it doesn't always turn out the way you expected it to, but it was an experiment. So let me try again, that redirection. Oh, that didn't work. What else can I try? What else can I no, I don't even know why I just said try, because I'm not about try. Yoda, There is no try, do or do not.
Yep.
What other direction can I go? How else can I get there? Maybe this is a redirection, and maybe the redirection is better than the original direction.
I'm going to go off topic, but I think it's pretty hilarious. Anytime I interview, I'm going to say coaches that I think are fairly good, there are instances where they catch themselves doing something and immediately redirect their language. So that's pretty funny. I did it the other day. And
yes.
I wasn't even on a call. It was with my family, and I did it the other day, and I immediately changed my language. It was pretty funny, that moment of awareness, right?
Right, exactly. That's again what this whole life experiment is about becoming aware. And the higher your level of awareness, the more you learn, the different tools you have at hand to use to climb even higher.
So talk to me about why you like this whole coaching thing. I'm calling it coaching. You may not call it that, but that's what I'm calling it.
Yeah, I don't call myself a coach because I think there are so many people who are in the coaching world now that the meaning of it has been diluted. And I just don't see myself as a coach. I see myself more as a mentor or a guide or a consultant, because I do work with a lot of companies. I go in and teach workshops to teach some of these tools and techniques so that they can be more focused and productive and engaged and all that good stuff. What was your question? About the coach? I went off on a tangent about how I'm not a coach, but yeah.
And language. I'm going to go back to language. It's very interesting how certain words can trigger us. Because sometimes even my clients will call me a label that I don't think fits me at all. But in their mind, that's how they view me. And that's, it's perfectly fine. If that's how they view me, I don't view myself that way. But we attach different meanings to different words, right?
Right. And this is where people get, where communication breaks down, where relationships break down, because we think that everybody thinks the same way we do, and everybody uses the same language, and everybody knows what I'm talking about when I'm using these words. And every single person on this planet has been raised in a different way, has different beliefs, different ways of expressing themselves. And so it feels like our job is to be conscious and aware of how we show up in the world, and then be open to allow other people to show up the way they show up, and to then understand where they're coming from, even if we don't agree.
I'm going to have to throw this out there because part of my strengths in the business world was going into established teams, figuring out what the heck wasn't working, and redirecting things so that they were productive and cohesive, right? But some of what I felt compelled to do was to teach people how to communicate.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you would go into these situations where a person knew one way to explain something, but the person on the other end didn't have that same point of reference and didn't have a clue what this person was trying to jam down their throats by repeating the same words or getting louder. And I'm like, that doesn't work. They don't have your history. They don't have your technical knowledge. You have to change the way you're presenting the information into a totally different way so that they have a chance of grasping it. You repeating it doesn't help them receive the information, right?
Yeah.
They don't have your experiences. You say this word and it means something else to them.
Right.
Give them a different visual or give them a different auditory connection so that they can find a way to understand what you're saying. But there were so many people who get stuck in there. I said these words. This is it. This is it. Well, not if they're not getting it. It's not it. You get it. They don't.
Right.
Language is really an interesting thing.
It is. And one of the 3 pillars of my program called F Being Fine is connection. And it's about connecting with other people, like what you're talking about, and the connection with yourself. Because when you are super connected to yourself, like we were talking about earlier, you now have the ability to be open to having better relationships. And when you're practicing these techniques like gratitude and meditation, it helps you be more open to these better relationships. It helps with emotional intelligence and your ability to regulate your own emotions, which automatically makes you better in relationships with other people.
And I'm going to go back to expand on what I just said. The frustration that's created on both sides when one person doesn't get what the other person is trying to throw at them, right?
Mm-hmm.
For the person sending the message, it's super frustrating. Why don't you get it? And from the person trying to receive it is like, I don't have, you're speaking Russian to me and I don't speak Russian. Speak a different language and maybe we can find a way in the middle. But the frustration level builds and then the walls come up.
Right.
So finding a way around the walls or to keep the walls from building can be challenging for some people.
Yes, which is why it comes back to taking personal responsibility for your own personal and professional development so that you can find the tools and techniques to be better at what you're doing, whether it's communicating or writing or sales or whatever it is. This constant study, it doesn't end. Learning, growth, and personal growth never ends.
So when you go into a company, what's the first thing that you pay attention to?
Well, I'm going in and doing workshops. So I'm paying attention to what is the culture there now and how can perhaps infusing gratitude and teaching the concepts of gratitude and meditation and acceptance, and how can these concepts help with making them more productive, more focused, more creative, more engaged. And so what's going on there now? Where are we now? And what can we do to move forward to create a better environment?
And how is that received by the employees that are attending the workshop?
Well, like anything, some people are there because they are really genuinely interested, and some people are there because they were told they have to be there. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because the people who are there to get it are going to get it. And the other people, they can walk away. You want to stay stressed? You want to stay, hair on fire and live that way? Go right ahead. And if you're open to changing and to finding a different way to live, then I've got some tools and techniques for you.
Cool. So if productivity isn't just about time management, talk to me about what else it might be. And I think I already know the answer.
It's about managing the thoughts in your head. How do you manage the thoughts in your head? And what we were talking about earlier, as far as distractions and being distracted and finding a way to clear those distractions, whether that is through a breathing exercise, a heart coherence exercise, a meditation, a walking, like going outside and taking a walk, sticking your feet in the ground with no shoes on and grounding yourself, or listening to your favorite song that gets you like that you can't sit still to, and you put it on and you just dance for 3.5 minutes and get out some of that excess stress energy. Or I don't know, like there's just so gardening, okay, so it's after work at this point, but I don't know, maybe your workplace has a garden in the back, but whatever it is that you can do to give yourself some joy and some peace. It's really about peace. You ask people what they want in their life and they say, I just want to be happy. What does that mean? And I think for most people, it means it's not necessarily like I walk around feeling overjoyed all the time. I'm just over the top excited. It means that they feel that there's a sense of peace in their life. But most people don't know how to attain it.
The place I feel the best is on or in the water. I could live on a boat, snorkeling. I used to scuba dive, but now I've got a ear issue, so I can't really go down because the pain is just too much.
Yeah.
So that leaves me with snorkeling or swimming. When I get really angry and I need to release it, swimming laps. I can just look at the water and be calmer.
Yeah.
So for me, it's nature, it's music, it's water.
Right. And again, science and research behind how nature calms us down. It's, is it the Japanese who have that term of nature bathing?
I don't know.
I think it is. Forest bathing, I believe. Like taking a walk in a forest can calm you because just being around the trees and the plants. And there's also research behind being in the water. It's energy. It's the energetic molecules change your molecular structure. And so finding what works for you. Some people water might not do it for them, but the forest does, or whatever it is. It comes back to taking responsibility to figure out what works for you instead of just saying, oh, that doesn't work for me. That doesn't work for me. That doesn't work for me, which is typically how people, their initial response is, that doesn't.
The negative.
Yeah. So what does work for you? I don't know. Keep working on it. Keep exploring until you find what does work for you. People go, I don't like vegetables. All vegetables, every single one. I don't like tea. Every single flavor of tea. I don't like working out. No form of exercise at all. Of all the choices you have in the world, none of them work for you. I don't think you've explored enough.
That's hilarious. But it's very easy to fall into blanket statements, right? Because we make a decision based on insufficient information, and then we just stick with that decision like there is no other choice.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we are, as humans, I think it's our default to complain and criticize. Or I don't know that we're born with that default, but we are certainly conditioned into it.
I think we're conditioned into it.
Yeah. Yeah. And so how do you counter that? And one of the exercises I teach my clients, my private clients, as well as in my corporate workshops, is this "but I'm grateful for" exercise. And what this is so Jean, did something happen to you in the past, I don't know, 48 hours, week, something that you were complaining about or criticizing?
What's I complaining about? I'm sure there was, but it's not coming to me.
Okay.
Oh, yes. I complain about pharmaceutical companies all the time and the TV commercials.
Oh, yeah.
I complain about that all the time. I don't think they should even be legal. The things that they say and get away with.
Yes. Yes, they are extremely annoying. I agree with you. And when you see one and you're starting to create that complaint in your head or that criticism, catch yourself and say, but I'm grateful for what?
For the information.
Well, it doesn't even have to be related to the thing.
Ah.
It could be, but I'm grateful I don't need them. Or, but I'm grateful that I'm watching this awesome TV show that I'm really enjoying aside from the commercial. I'm grateful that that it's a beautiful day outside. I'm grateful that I have a hot cup of tea that I'm really enjoying. Whatever it is, what you're doing is you're changing the focus.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason we're using but I'm grateful for, because maybe you've heard that
and
instead of but. When you are giving somebody a compliment, for example, like, Jean, you did a great job with this show. I really loved it. And you did all these great, but next time I just negated you didn't even hear that compliment now.
Yeah.
You're only hearing what's coming next. And that's exactly why we're using it in this situation, because we want to negate the complaint and focus on the gratitude.
That's cool.
Yeah. And the more you do this, and I say, it's when you catch yourself, not if, and it's not because you are, again, we're human, you're going to do it. So catch yourself every time. And the more you do it, the more you become more naturally grateful. People are like, I'm not a naturally grateful person. This is how you train yourself. You are actually, when you are doing this, you are actually rewiring your brain so that you are sending it down a new pathway every time. But I'm grateful for, but I'm grateful for, but I'm grateful for. And you're wearing a new pathway in your brain that focuses more on gratitude than complaining.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And it's easy.
And it's easy. Exactly. All the stuff that I teach, none of it is hard and none of it is expensive. It's all just, it's so easy. But this is also why people dismiss it. Can't be that easy.
Yeah. So we've gone over a few little techniques that people can use if they get into I'm going to say negative situations or not optimal situations or thought processes. But I think you have a resource for our listeners.
Oh, right. I do. I have a 6-minute gratitude meditation. So for people who are saying, I don't have time, it's 6 minutes. For people who are saying, I'm not good at meditation, I invite you to take a listen to this one, because I've had a lot of people say, I can never meditate before, but I don't know, there's something about your voice. And I'm not saying that from an egotistical place. I'm just saying something. And it's 6 minutes and it's free. And so it helps people just feel more calm and more grounded. And if you don't like the term meditation, let's just call it a calming, grounding exercise.
There you go. Because a lot of people, as soon as you say meditation, they shut off, right?
Yeah.
You say it's a calming exercise and they're like, oh.
Yeah, let me check this out.
So it's different physiology happens when we hear certain words, right?
Yeah, right. And certain words associated, certain people associate certain words with different situations. So yes, so I invite you to download this calming exercise.
There we go.
And see if you feel differently after the 6 minutes. And I also invite your listeners to practice either the breathing exercise or listening to this grounding exercise for 7 days, 7 days in a row. Can you do this for 5 or 6 minutes for 7 days in a row? Give yourself at least that. and then see how you feel at the end of the week. And if you don't feel differently, then you can either do it for another 7 days and then see, or you can stop and go, not for me, didn't work. Your choice. However, I'm willing to bet you will see a difference. You will not just see a difference, you'll feel a difference.
I think the feeling is the important part.
Mm-hmm.
Our reality is based on how we feel.
Yeah.
Right? We live inside our heads. Whatever we believe to be true is true for us. It may not be true for the person next to us. They may have a totally different view of what's going on, but it's based on how what's going on makes us feel. And our experiences that we've had in the past that we're drawing from to pump up those feelings, right?
Right. And that's where people get stuck a lot is, I don't know how to change the feeling. This is how you do it. I'm giving you a tool to do it.
Cool. So you're all over the internet, right?
I am.
Like LinkedIn,
I am.
Facebook.
Yes.
Everywhere. So what's your website again?
ZenRabbit.com.
Cool. So we're coming up on our last few minutes together. But I wanted to see if you have any final thoughts for our listeners, or maybe expand on something we touched on, or something totally different. Not totally up to you.
I think I'm going to go with my last thought for your listeners is the choice to live in stress and chaos is a choice. It is a choice. A lot of times people are like, well, this is just my life. This is how it is. I can't do anything about it. I don't agree. It is a choice. We have just spent the last many minutes talking about some tools and techniques that you can use to change your physiology, your psychology, your emotional state. It's a choice, whether you choose to use them and change or choose not to use them and stay where you are.
Totally agree. Totally. And that's a whole other topic, but we're running out of time, so I'm going to let it go there.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to thank you so much for being here. I enjoyed our conversation.
My pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah. And I want to thank the listeners for tuning in. And again, I really appreciate the fact that you keep coming back. And I hope I'm providing value for you and interesting conversations. And if you have suggestions for me, I'm open to hearing them. But we are out of time. So until next time, this is your host, Jean Border, with the Focused Practical Dreamers Journey podcast.
We trust you enjoyed this episode of the Focused Practical Dreamers Journey podcast. Energy work to better your business, hosted by energy healer Jean Border. Remember to visit our website at www.focusedpracticaldreamer.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Focused Practical Dreamers Journey.